5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome to the program, folks. November the 7th, you're with the Editor-in-Chief live.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, evening, everybody. I'm Duncan Garner. Welcome. And do you think you will one day be replaced in your job by artificial intelligence? What is the latest research when it comes to AI? We have that for you tonight. We tell you who stays, who goes, and what skills you need into the future to survive. Recruiter Shay Peters will join me, and Martin Devlin thinks the ABs are about to get spanked by Ireland. Disloyal, treasonous, or is he right? Martin from the newly formed Devlin Podcast Sports Network will join us very, very shortly. So let's go.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, so more than 90% of recruiters and hiring managers think hard skills in the workplace are going to be replaced by AI, and it's crucial that people learn to improve their soft skills to survive. Hard skills, programming skills, bookkeeping, soft skills are things like work ethic, attitude, creative thinking, cooperation. Shay Peters from Robert Walters Recruitment has the research and joins us now. Shay, g'day, good evening.
Hi Duncan, how's it going?
Good, mate. Nice to see you. Welcome along. The research, this is telling, isn't it? This is really telling. It's pretty overwhelming.
It is, and I think a lot of people get daunted by that very concept about one day getting replaced by a robot or an algorithm. Kind of a scary thought, but I actually think if you break it down, there's been many instances of interference and disruption in the labour market over the last few centuries, and we always kind of adapt and we move on. Humans will always have a place. It's just that the stuff they're doing might change.
Yeah, so the soft skills, the cooperation, coordination, the people skills, aren't they? They're really what it means to be a good human and to be a collaborative and cooperative human, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what we're really saying here. I think, if we really think about things and we break it down, things like stakeholder management, developing relationships, influence, that's what's not going to be replaced by artificial intelligence. One of the sayings I love to spout out every now and then is relationships are going to be the currency of the future. And I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, so if you're yes, here's the thing, if you're an accountant and don't deal with people, or if you're a bookkeeper, or if you're a computer programmer, all that stuff's going to be dealt with and dealt to by AI, isn't it?
Yes, but then I guess it's the challenge for the individuals who are involved in those professions to evolve as well. So yes, some bookkeeping components of accountancy might be replaced, but then it's how you use that data and what you advise your business to do with the data that has been replaced by AI. That's where the value will come in from the human. It's around the value add part. It's
also about some business ideas too. You may be an accountant, but you may have the idea to set up an online accountancy, do-it-yourself online accountancy like Xero and that sort of thing. That's where your money is. That's where the game is. That's where the progress, I reckon, in the future is.
Yeah, and absolutely in some industries, it's around industrializing AI to really amplify what you already know. Xero is a great example and kind of before its time. But it's also, the evolution of the human is going to be how they use AI and what they use it for, and then where they fit into the equation. What advice are they giving to their stakeholders?
Yeah, and so what are you looking at? So when in your role, in your job, in your recruitment company, when you see introverts, very smart and intelligent introverts that have a specific skill, what are you doing?
We've got to coach them, and I think that's about evolution and skill development. And introverts there'll always be a place for people with different types of personalities. It's just how the individual challenges themselves and develops. So for an introvert who may feel like influencing may be really foreign, there's so many ways to go and get involved in coaching situations where you maximize your input and what you can do. Because like I said, it's around making sure that you're having the most impact that you can have, and all different types of personalities will always evolve and be relevant.
It's such a massive sea change going on. I know we've had this economic, and we talked about this last time, this economic devastation. The capital's gone missing. All sorts of things have been up in the air, right? So there's not much confidence in the market. But you add in that to this massive, huge digital revolution that we're going through, because it's happening now. There's two big things that have hit a small country like this, and you must, from where you sit, you must just see an utter slowdown, utter devastation, but also some green shoots too. But boy, it's been tough, eh?
Oh, it's an absolute grind in New Zealand at the moment. It's really hard to watch. Being someone who is a passionate New Zealander and looking for ways for the country to move forward, seeing us go through this grind is an absolute crime. And I've got visibility of markets overseas through my role. And yes, they're being challenged economically, and that goes on, but it's a very tough labour market in New Zealand. And what we are seeing, I think, and what we all hope to see, and now that the OCR is starting to drop and things like that, New Zealanders really focus on the OCR for confidence in what they do,
Yes.
whether it's their levels of property ownership or business confidence, and the price of lending. We do focus on that, and so hopefully that starts to show a little bit of promise in the market as well.
Yeah, all the economists think sort of early mid next year. That's when some of the people will benefit from that lower OCR, Shay. That maybe March, April, May, somewhere in there. But how long do people have to hang on for? I'm like you. I'm passionate New Zealander and loyal New Zealander, and I want us to bounce back. But I look at other countries. People tell me Sydney's going off, it's popping, and all sorts of other countries are, and we are struggling. We just seem to struggle to get out of this little hole.
Yeah, and like I said, I've got visibility, and especially I look after and responsible for our Australian operation as well. And yes, they are facing a tough economic situation at the moment, but it's just different. Their markets are so diverse. What they're looking at is being constructive and making progress, where I think in New Zealand it seems to be all a little bit doom and gloom at the moment. And particularly, unfortunately, for my proud capital city of Wellington, it's been heavily impacted, and you're doubling down with a pretty rubbish climate to go with everything else. The applications to going through our Queensland office from cold Wellingtonians at the moment, it's going through the roof. I've never seen so many Wellingtonians try and leave.
The numbers in this brain drain, so-called brain drain, I mean, the numbers are phenomenal. 60,000 plus in one calendar year have moved to Australia. Thank God we've got immigration coming this way, otherwise we'd be getting smaller, but we're not, we're getting bigger. But there's still 60-odd thousand really smart New Zealanders, hard-working New Zealanders, who are taking their skills elsewhere. You would see this up close and personal, wouldn't you? You'd see who's going. It's
gutting. We're seeing professionals leave right throughout the corporate sector, whether you're a lawyer, an accountant, whether you've got a background in technology or transformation. People are leaving and going overseas where things just seem a lot more productive or constructive. And it's gut-wrenching to see, because I don't think we'll see those people back for a long, long time.
I wonder about that too. I know we've got two nieces that have jumped on the plane recently, and they're one-way tickets, one to London, one to Australia. And they came out of Otago, double degrees, all that sort of thing, got good jobs, but it wasn't enough to keep them at 23, 27, gone.
Depressing. And I mean, my daughter's going, she's 21. She's going off to London on a one-way ticket next year as well. And I kind of don't blame her. There's part of me that just says, well, this country's got a lot. We've got to look internally and fix ourselves and fix our mindset before we can be an attractive proposition for young people coming through. Because the other thing that we see, and I see firsthand, is that people entering the labour force, not many young New Zealanders are given opportunities to thrive. One thing I would say about Generation Z coming through, they're very confident. And, everyone talks about Gen Z and, well, all of that kind of stuff. And I get it. But they're a confident bunch of people with a great skill set. And, there are the frustrations of the Gen Xers and the baby boomers around how to manage these individuals. And I completely understand, but we've got to change our mindset. We're actually got to think about, how do we harness these people? Because they are really intelligent. Like, I look at myself coming out of university now, I have nowhere near the confidence that these people have.
No, or the skills. We didn't have the skills. These guys, digital natives, they've been brought up with the phone in their hand. So they're full of information. I'm just going to pretend to be one right now. Hey, Shay, I'm just after a job. I want 100 grand. I want 100 grand, please. I'm 21. Yeah, I've graduated. I've got top marks. I want 100 grand, and I want to work from home 20 hours a week. Okay? You do that for me? Got me a job?
No, that's not a reality. And it's interesting, that whole work from home thing at the moment, we're seeing a whole lot of organisations about actually returning to the office. That is the latest trend. It was bound to happen at some point. We're seeing that tipping point now, that tipping point is happening because the leverage in the employment relationship is coming back to the employer as opposed to the employee, where it was for the past 2 years, and people could get their demands, and talent was really scarce. Now, as soon as unemployment starts to rise and the leverage in that employment relationship starts to shift, we are seeing a shift back to office-based workforces. But what I would say is there still needs to be flexibility in that arrangement. Like, I'm kind of old school. I like seeing people in the office because I believe that's where you learn. That's how you develop.
We have conversations,
Especially if you want to develop soft skills.
Yeah.
So if we're saying relationships are the currency of the future, and you're sitting at home tapping away on a keyboard, you got no hope.
Hey, it's always good to catch up, Shay. I like to do that every little while, so I appreciate your time, mate. All the very best. Take care.
No worries. Thanks, Duncan.
Okay, cheers. Catch up again.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, James has said, Duncan, I think my job's safe. Too many algorithms for AI to handle. No two deliveries are the same and vehicles aren't self-driven. I wonder when that will happen, though, you know. Isaac, what do you reckon when stuff's dropped up to your house? You know, because people are buying so much online now. I'll bring you in here, Isaac. How would you, I mean, do you think robots will be delivering things to people's houses? Not quite yet, eh?
I mean, not quite yet. I could totally see it happening in the not so distant future. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not a professional. I don't know how the robot world is looking at the moment. But you see some stuff like I think it's the Tesla robot is kind of being teased in the media of like this kind of personal servant you can have at home and blah blah blah. And so I'm sure very very soon. Oh, and I'm pretty sure Amazon. Do they do it? But they've got like drones that drop off.
Remember
stuff.
Domino's was going to drop off pizzas by drone, but they never. When was the last pizza you got, and did you come via drone?
No, unfortunately, no.
It might have been a bit of a stunt anyway. Yeah, okay, mate. Righty, hey, let's do 3 questions.
3 questions from the editor-in-chief. 1.
Number 1, my takeaways from the Trump victory. A total annihilation, a total thumping. And even though he waffled and went off script, I thought Trump reached out to all of America last night to make up and to get on with it. That was missing 8 years ago in Trump's speech, not last night. But this guy has a mandate to basically do what he likes. Watch out. He's already had everything thrown at him. He's been impeached twice. He survived 2 assassinations, 4 indictments, and more than 100 charges. And he faces sentencing for the hush money trial in 3 weeks. My pick is that they'll say, bugger it. It's over. You've got a country to run, and it's true. His victory was done by going around the traditional media, who openly despise him, so he went direct to the people and through podcasts like Joe Rogan. Yeah, he really did. At number 2, how big did Rogan go with that podcast? Well, just a few minutes ago, 46 million people had viewed it and counting. 547,000 comments on that interview and counting. That's how many people have watched and commented on the Trump Rogan podcast. I think it had a huge hand in getting him home, quite frankly, and it's traditionally just, you know, it's podcasts are where it is, and where is that? The media's died. Get it now, get on them, sponsor them, own them, back them. What are you waiting for? I've got some ideas for you.
3.
At number 3, what happened to Kamala Harris? Well, she failed to tell the Rust Belt why they were worse off after 4 years. Biden clung on to office too long, and she had 100 days to turn people around. Trump represented change and hope. And boy, I know it was a bit of a messy speech, but I think he got there quite well in the end.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the guys, what a mandate he's got. The whole country went red. Because he offered a change. People are worse off after 4 years. They're only going to vote for another 4 years of that. This should have been simple, shouldn't it? Martin Devlin from the Devlin Sports Podcast Network is picking the All Blacks to lose. Treasonous bastard. And that's just the beginning of it. Disloyal. And what a way to kick off this new podcast network that he's got. He joins me now. Marty, g'day, mate.
May I just say, before we say anything else, Duncan, that the greatest sports comeback story of the year, I thought, was the White Ferns. Okay, down, out, battered, bruised, sent into the knacker's yard. I think Donald Trump has overtaken on the outside. This is like Andy Murray, with half a hip, walking wounded, coming back and winning Wimbledon. This is a sports story for the ages, is Donald Trump coming back to win this election.
But it really is, because he's a bit of a sports jock too. I mean, he's a real sports jock, and you saw last night on the stage. He had Dana White. He had DeChambeau, whatever his name is, the golfer. He had them all there. They were reluctant, but Dana White gave a powerful speech. This man deserves it.
I'll tell you what, he even jacked up Lee Harvey Oswald to miss. He probably had a hell of a lot to do with it.
Why are you saying the All Blacks are going to lose?
Well, look, I'm not a treasonous bastard or anything. I'm a realist when it comes to the All Blacks. Duncan, I want the All Blacks to win every game. I mean, that's, I'm from that era where I don't buy into this averageness where it's okay to lose 2 or 3 games a year. Yeah. And the All Blacks bar is set higher than every other sports team in the country. The All Blacks' only currency is winning. There is nothing else about the All Blacks. It's not about Instagram likes. It's not about silly TikTok videos. It's not about NZR Plus downloads. It's about winning test matches. However, I don't believe that this current team, the way that we're playing with this group of players, is actually good enough to beat Ireland. Now, look, I'm happy to be proved wrong, and I want to be proved wrong over this. I sat there in Paris last year at the quarterfinal. I thought exactly the same thing, mate. I didn't think we would win that quarterfinal against Ireland. And it was a courageous, titanic All Black performance. But when you dissect what happened against England, and remember, it's a short turnaround this week. It's only 6 days between that test and a Friday night in Dublin, Saturday morning, of course. Nice time to watch it in New Zealand. But look, we were a penalty that hit a post and a drop goal that Tom Ford could have spat over from losing that game. Yes, we scored 3 tries to 1. But you tell me, out of the 11 test matches that we played this year, we've won 8, lost 3 of those. I can only pick out maybe 2 halves of rugby where we've actually really put it together. Against Ireland, we're not going to get away with making those same bonehead mistakes, yellow cards, unnecessary botched opportunities. They will punish us. And that's what I fear. I just have that fear.
What I worry about is the All Blacks may not get the ball for a long time. I mean, Ireland are very good at holding the ball, tying it up and keeping it and scoring points. And then they collate points. I'm worried that the All Blacks could be they could be defending for 80 minutes. It's not unlikely.
When you look at the 2 best teams in the world at the moment, and I think that they squared their series in South Africa. Ireland were able to do something that we couldn't do, which was go to Yapi land and actually win one of those test matches. Now, we were in positions to win those test matches. Sure, we didn't win them. England will be looking back at 3 times they played us this year. In each test, we're in a position to win it, and they didn't close it either. I'm worried about Damien McKenzie at first 5. He's had 7 or 8 chances in that number 10 jersey for the All Blacks this year. I still think he's too jittery skittery. I think he's too helter-skelter. Here's a real opportunity for this guy. And also remember about Damien McKenzie. I'm not saying he's not a brilliant player. He's a brilliant player, sure, but he's a brilliant Super Rugby player. Yep. He's yet to convince in that particular jersey in that position. This guy's been an All Black since 2017, Duncan.
Yeah.
He's 29 years old. He's not a guy that's a fresh kid. He's set in his ways now.
Yeah.
What I worry about him is he does all of this kind of stuff, which I don't even know whether he knows what he's doing, whether his teammates know what he's doing. He needs to be the absolute guy that controls this test match. It does revolve around him. And forgive me, I'm lacking confidence in the guy in that role because he's shown me nothing this year that he's capable of doing the job against a team like this.
I thought he was very, very good for 40 minutes this year against Argentina's second test in Auckland, and he commanded things well because everyone around him. It just something happened that day.
It was a great first half performance.
For 40 minutes, but 40 minutes. We haven't had 80 minutes out of these guys. He's not a commanding guy. He's not a guy that is forcing people to do things. He doesn't have a command of the game, is what I feel. But he did come on last week and clutch it. Bang.
He did, and look, and that kick from the sideline hopefully has given him the kind of confidence that he needs. Look, to be the All Black first 5, you don't have to be the best player in the world. You've just got to be mistake-free, get us down the right end, make all the right decisions, the right options, release the right players at the right time. This guy's got all the capabilities of doing that. And again, this is the opportunity for him. If he wants that jersey, and he said he wanted it at the start of the year, to claim it this weekend. Saturday morning against Ireland.
Martin Devlin should play first 5 for the All Blacks on his energy alone, not to mention his rugby brain. Says this is the feedback coming in. Martin Devlin.
I tell you what, there are Trump supporters following you right now with that clearly.
Marty's right. They ain't the All Blacks of old. And that's the truth. The All Blacks of old used to have this mystique and fear about them. People would fear them. Right? They would say, oh my God, the All Blacks are in town. And Ireland, for the last 60 years, have been overwhelmed by the All Blacks turning up in town. Now they see them as fresh meat. Now they see them as vulnerable.
Changed.
It's
all
totally changed. Remember those days in Buck Shelford?
It changed in Chicago when they beat us for the first time.
Yep.
It used to be the cuddly old Irish, have a bit of crack, couple of Guinnesses, Keith Wood, the bonnet potato. They'd go for 60 minutes and then you'd bowl them, right? This team is now a legit rival of the All Blacks. Now, look, you and me grew up in a different era from people, and I can understand the modern generations don't think like us. But, I spend a lot of time in the job that I do, a lot of privilege of it is talking to old All Blacks, and their legacy is never having lost to Ireland in 100 years, never having lost to Argentina in 100 years. Those have both been blown out of the water. These guys, we're continually pounded with this message from New Zealand rugby, aren't we, about, these guys are just caretakers of the jersey. They're going to leave it in a better place. Well, leave it in a bloody better place by winning matches is the only way you do it, okay? You go through the season unbeaten. Maybe it's unrealistic these days for me to expect that, but I think that unless you demand that standard, and that's the standard that they have to demand of themselves, otherwise they become the Warriors. And you're going to love this, everyone watching this. The Warriors are not winning the NRL next year. They have got no chance with that squad of winning. I hope like hell that they make the 8, because again, that should be the bare minimum standard. But where was the inquest into that this year? 9 wins out of 24 games. Oh, great. We celebrate Sean running off. And that was brilliant. Okay, then we celebrate a bar opening. And then we celebrate sellout stadiums. And then we celebrate a new jersey. Mate, you won 9 games out of 24, mate.
That's the thing,
That's a
though, Marty.
crap season.
The thing is, their supporters don't hold them to account for it. They're just happy to be there.
Yeah, that's happy. Look, and that's okay. If you want to be one of those fans, that's perfectly okay. But look, I will use the Man United analogy here. I've been a United fan since 1975. We had this golden period under Sir Alex Ferguson, 26 beautiful years, 13 titles in 21 years. Guess where we are now, Duncan? We're this, mate. We're up there. That's where we are. We're a laughing stock. We're a butt crack of English football at the moment. And once you're there, you don't come back. And this is what I fear. The All Blacks hit that standard slip. What next? Well, we lose 5 matches here. We lose to Scotland next. We lose to Italy next, do we? Okay?
Did you
So
realise?
this is why you have to demand from this team that they win matches. That's, again, the only currency they have.
Yep, no, fair enough too. Did you realise you got a rip in your pants? Hey, this tour.
It's the dog. Forgive what I'm wearing,
Whatever,
mate. I'm just taking the dog for a walk.
This tour that the All Blacks are on, I look at these World Cups, I look at these interview tours. My argument is these interview tours are tougher than World Cups, because World Cup you play a couple of has-beens at the start or no names, and then you suddenly get to these tough games at the end. You play 3 tough ones if you're lucky to get to the final. They've had Japan, which I hope is under Eddie Jones because he's hopeless. You've got Italy, you've got France, you've got England, you've got Ireland. That's a World Cup, Marty. That's a World Cup.
And look, and I think these 3 matches, especially the England, the Ireland, and the France, back to back to back. Now, also remember, we've been told by sports scientists and nutritionists and every other keyboard warrior that surrounds these guys that they can't actually play 5 Super Rugby matches in a row. They get rested from round 2 as Super. They get rested and rotated. George Bell's come in as a reserve hooker. Goodness knows when he's the last time that he's actually played
12 weeks.
back-to-back competitive games.
12 weeks.
So this really is the litmus test for where this team is at the moment. And I think, beforehand, here's me spouting on about they've got to win every game. I look at this current team and I think if they went over there and they won 2 out of these 3, England, Ireland and France, I would be happy with that. Now, ordinarily, I'd say the All Blacks, I want them to win all 3. If we can get away with a win against Ireland or France in their backyards on this, I think that incrementally, this team is improving. We are the best team in the world. We got damn close last year because that's what a World Cup can do, as the White Ferns have proved. But we've lost 15 matches and drawn a couple over the last 5 years, Duncan. That is the worst losing record of any All Black side.
No, it's hopeless. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's embarrassing.
That's the truth.
It's embarrassing. Now,
I don't think it's embarrassing. I just think it's where we're at the moment.
Yeah, but
okay,
that's not
this is the
what
group of
guys
players
like
we've
you
got.
and I. That's not what guys like you and I are used to, and we find it hard to deal with.
Well, of course we find it hard to deal with, but we had that patch, remember, between about 2010, maybe 2016. We were the giants of the game. Yeah. But look at the players that we had at that time. You pick a World 15, 13 of them would be All Blacks. You pick a World 15 today, how many of them make that starting 15 out of this current side? Having said that, look at a guy like Satiti. You give a guy a chance, and guess what happens?
He takes
and
it.
This, again, I think is what this tour should be about. I think that, Razor's got to start thinking about this. At the moment, we don't have a first 5, really, do we? We've got Bowden. He's only got a year or 2 left. We've got Damien McKenzie, hasn't proved himself. If he gets injured Saturday, who steps in and takes his place? Stephen Perofeta.
But Perofeta,
is he an international class All Black?
No one knows. No one knows. He hasn't really tried.
How would you know?
He hasn't been
tried.
tried.
Last time he played.
Yeah. Well, why have they got a winger at centre? Why do they keep putting up with this winger at centre for? It's so obvious.
Well, I think that's the other thing. I think Rieko Ioane, again, this guy has been an All Black since 2017. Yeah. Is he going to get any better?
No.
Look, every time I see him play, I just think, I keep wanting you to be a much better player than you are. I keep thinking that you're going to...
He was.
Tries, and then, it doesn't happen. Hey, can I just ask this as well? As a fan, are we allowed to know what the heck is going on with Ethan de Groot? Because I believe that we should be told. When you drop a player for so-called internal standards, whatever those are, and you drop him for a test match, this is one of our world-class players here. And whatever Scott Robertson said today, I don't believe that Tamati Williams did that well against England. I think he was okay, but de Groot's a better player. Now he doesn't get picked for 2 matches in a row. Okay, what is going on? You want us to trust you. Well, trust us and act like adults then and just tell us. Okay, look, if this was the NRL, if this was the Premier League, if this was the NFL, any other sport, we would get the answer. And I think it's disappointing of those guys at those press conferences that they don't ask this question keep having this question.
They're in their pockets. They're in the pockets, and this is why I haven't wanted to be in the travelling sports media ever, because they can't ask it. And they should be asking it. But it's like an MP that has a discretion. We ask the question.
Just tell us what it is.
These guys are public figures.
All Blacks fans,
they're public figures, mate. They are people's idols.
Don't trust us enough to tell us.
They're role models. It'll get out anyway. You can never keep a secret, mate. You can't keep secrets. Not like that. Because it's obvious what's going on. Something's going on. So tell us. It'll come out, mate.
Well, look at the Damien McKenzie thing when he missed the team bus after the Argentina test and caught an Uber back to LA airport for $400.
What happened there?
These guys roomed together, remember?
Yeah.
So there's two scenarios has happened. Either he never arrived home in time to get his stuff together and get to the bus, or the guy that he's rooming with woke up and thought, oh, Damien's so fast asleep, I'll just leave him fast asleep and I'll get on the bus without him. Well, you choose which one of those options is more likely, okay? So again, I don't want to know every single detail about it, but when you've got a world-class player and you're continually not picking him for something, I think it deserves more than one question going, oh, he's not playing this week.
It's pathetic.
Oh, okay, well, let's move on.
It's weak. It's weak. And, they haven't protected guys like Aaron Smith in the past when he was having a little bit of how's your father in the toilet?
No, they haven't. And so, look, and I really like Ethan de Groot. Don't get me wrong here. I've interviewed this guy in person. I've interviewed him a number of times. I think he's a giant of a player, and I like the guy. But I just think, why the secret squirrel? Why are you treating us like we're children here?
Tell us what you're up to. Tell us what's going to happen, because you've joined up. You've got a podcast.
Yes, I have.
Tell me more about it. Congratulations, Marty. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Look, alongside yourself, who is the editor-in-chief and presenting a news show every night, we're going to be producing a sports show. It's called the DSPN. So it's obviously playing off the name ESPN. All the hope and hype, and none of the budget, of course. It'll be a show coming out every night as of Monday next week. Essentially what we're just doing is looking at all the day's sports news and just having a good rant and a rave about it, packing in some interviews. Look, it's all on Rover, DSPN. We put up a couple of great interviews we've had this week, one with Ellie Williams, just simply about being an owner of the Auckland AFC, being called, starts with a W, rhymes with tanker by the Phoenix fans, charging at him in Wellington on the weekend. We had a great breakdown of the All Blacks team announcement today with Tony Johnson. Look, if you've ever heard anything about me doing sport on the radio, it's more of the same. It's just a whole lot of really good people having a good rave about it. And I think, and I'm hoping that this is where the gap in the market is, people, because as sports fans, again, I believe that this is what I want, and I hope it's what people want as well. It's just opinion. We love sport. We love everything about it. We're just talking about it. There is so much cheese and PR schmuck and fluff and guff that surrounds games at the moment, mate. Yep. I can't stand it. If you want that, you're not going to get it, okay?
Great to see you back.
You're going to get people sitting here and we're going to discuss issues. We're going to bring up stuff. We're going to argue and we're going to fight. We're going to love each other at the end of it and love the sports that we're talking about, because that's the whole thing. That's the whole point of it. But at the same time, I'm delighted to be part of the network, mate. I'm delighted to be working alongside you. Back in the mainstream sports media, which is a hell of a thing for me after the last 2 or 3 years of my life. And so, I'm thoroughly delighted. Daunted by the new technology and trying to learn all of that in such a hurry, mate. But, we'll baby step our way through, and we'd love you to have a little sample of it, people, and let us know what you're honestly thinking. I'm more than happy to correspond with you and make some tweaks and changes so that we can make exactly what it is you want.
And this is the thing, Marty, about podcasts. What I've learned in the last 2 years, I've probably done 700 of them, and I was like you a couple of years ago. I thought, what am I doing? What's this? What is this? This is it, mate. Look at Trump on with Joe Rogan. 46 million views as of tonight. It's 563,000 comments as of tonight. Podcasts are where it's at. Brilliant.
If you and me were in that league, mate, I'll be buying you another pina colada in the Bahamas.
Mate, I'd buy property. I wouldn't come back. Can you do that? Hey, Marty, great stuff, mate. Love to see you. Just the first question I have to ask you then, as the host of your new show, put into perspective the Black Caps thumping of the Indians.
Look, I think, and I'm an older guy, and so I was always locked on to that 85-86 series win in Australia, where Paddles took 9 for 52 in Brisbane, Marty Crowe 188. I still remember this team, these figures, those great characters. I've been locked into that for my whole life because I've grown up where Australia just pound us constantly, right? And then this. And it's like the White Ferns. I gave them no chance of going to India and winning a test, let alone winning 2 in the series, let alone a clean sweep of 3. And this is the beautiful thing about sport. Now you actually start asking questions along the lines of, okay, balance that up with, say, Team New Zealand win the America's Cup. And if you were voting for the Hellbrigs, what would you vote for? Do you look at it holistically across the year and go, all of the Black Caps performances? Do you isolate and separate that test series? This is a majestic achievement for that bunch of players. Did it without Kane Williamson.
Yeah,
that's Went over to India,
classic.
Smacked them up in their backyard. I don't think you can underestimate the achievements of both our men's and women's cricketers. And this is the beautiful thing about sport. Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow you can play, which is why I don't think, we will beat Ireland, but I'm not saying that we can't beat Ireland. I'm not saying we can't beat, and I want to be proved wrong.
Bastard treason. The thing is, did the All Blacks in '96 when they beat South Africa in that series, where they won 2, lost 1, when they won that series, was that a Hellberg moment?
3-1 that series was. There were 4 tests in a row.
Okay.
I always counted as a 3-1 series.
Were they a Hellberg? Were they Hellberg winners?
96. I think at the time it may have been the Black Sox who won because of winning the World Series.
No, they always missed out. The Black Sox always missed out, didn't they?
Or did they miss? Or 1996, surely Daniel Loader with his double goal. Oh, no, it would have been 95. 96 would have been voting about 95. So again, I mean, that series remains one of my favourite ever sporting moments.
Yeah.
Being in Wellington, I vividly remember this. 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock at finish, walking out of my apartment in Willow Street, and there was just people everywhere wanting to yell and scream at each other that were just beaten South Africa, because I grew up like you did, 1976, when they cheated, the dry pitches, the black and white tally, all that. Hey. I've been raving away. I'm hoping like hell that we can beat Ireland. That's all I'm going to say. I just don't believe that this group of players, the way that they're playing this year, that we will.
This is an image from the South African series of '96, and it was right at the end. Who was this? On the ground.
Fitzpatrick,
yes, brilliant.
Fitzpatrick, I want to scrum you, Fitzpatrick.
Yes, he was good. He was refereeing the game in those days. Yeah.
It was great, man.
Alan Hewson, 1983. Your Kiwi back. Hey, they love you back, Marty. They love you back.
81. It was 81. People hate to be corrected, but it was 81. He kicked that goal at Eden Park.
And who was this? Hewson at the end.
I tell you what, Donald Trump, that's what won in the election.
Yeah.
That moment, you know it.
Good on you, Marty. Good to see you, mate. We'll do it again.
Great to see you, mate.
Okay, cheers. Okay. Well done.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Yeah, so tomorrow looks unprecedented on the political calendar as the government moves to unreservedly apologise to those state wards who were abused, raped, tortured, beaten, sexually assaulted, denied food and treated like animals. CEOs from all the big government departments will line up to say sorry. Then the big one, Christopher Luxon, the Prime Minister, will say sorry too for their treatment. This historical abuse while young and in state care was nothing short of thuggery. It was brutal, violent, hedonistic, sadistic and downright criminal. These young, vulnerable men who'd done, naughty things, stolen cars, or maybe they had too many in the family. They were vulnerable men. They were thrown into the darkness of places like Uwadaka Boys Home at age 12 to fend for themselves. The stories of the bashings and the violence and the fear is hard to take still. I've spoken to guys like Taina Pora about this at length, and the stories that he tells are heinous. I had a mate of mine, really good mate of mine still. He was in there for stealing cars as a teenager, and he was saved by his grandfather. We got him into a boarding school. But it was pretty awesome, and it was pretty awful. It was absolutely awful. That these men went on to populate New Zealand jails, and still do, is no surprise. Yes, they must take responsibility for their crimes, but the early treatment of them set many up to fail, and they still pay the price. A third of all prisoners are thought to be former state wards. Now, I know a few of these men, like Uppy in Northland, an Uwadaka boy, who spent 35 years inside jail. His first job was at 50. He regrets all of it, and he knew no different, though. The stories of hellish abuse and violent brawls make your hair stand up. And Uppy is 10 years out, 10 years clean, got a steady job, but his life was ruined by the dirty state intervention. They turned him into a hardened criminal who hated and was angry. And I still see Uppy today in the north, and he's doing really well. Not even angry, smiling away, as his life's changed. It was an amazing story. The most likeable guy, but he wears his scars on the outside. Sure, he needed to be helped, but it was hardly positive. He told me that state care made him violent and angry, and he was determined to revolt once he got out, and he did. All these victims will be paid and receive an apology. The payout's between $3,000 and $40,000. The average is about $15,000. The worst people get, the worst cases will get $40,000. But it's nothing compared to what happened. Personally, I think this has taken far too long to settle. The money is crap. It's not life-changing, and it's insulting in itself. And worse, no one has been held accountable for these heinous crimes in the name of the state. These men paid the price. They lost their freedom for decades, some of them, in jail. The perpetrators have either died or remained in hiding, but they've never paid a price. And I think it's poor, and I'll be really upset about this, and it doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right at all, does it?
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, Isaac, that's us, mate. Oh, Marty was on fire, wasn't he?
Marty was great.
Hey, he was, wasn't it?
He is a fantastic man, very passionate about sport.
He is, mate, he is.
And,
but that's what we're a bit old school. I know you're Gen Z.
Oh, yes. But I've got to say I'm very excited for the DSPN podcast.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
It's
Every
going to be
night,
very entertaining.
So that'll run off the back of this.
Not live
No.
as of yet. It'll
No.
just be posted
yep.
as a podcast. Yeah.
How's that money? It's crap. You get abused in the stake here, then you get anywhere between 3 and 40,000 all these years later. It's just not. It's not justice.
Yep.
Is it? It's not justice.
That's 10 to 30 years. That's how much money could you have made if you had a steady job?
And none of them have been held to account either. These rapists, state rapists. That's what they are. Anyway, that is us. This will be available as a podcast on Rover shortly, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for all your feedback and support. Lots of comments come in tonight. I'm Duncan at rover.nz to my team. Isaac, present. Forrester, absent, but at large. Thank you, guys. We will do this all again tomorrow. Remember, life isn't a dress rehearsal. There's no curtain raiser. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth. So get out, enjoy it. Have a great rest of the evening. Take care, New Zealand.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.